Why are so many Muslim women find it difficult to integrate into Britain? As far as gender policy is concerned, it was undoubtedly a modest step, but in Bradford's business centre in Carlow or the development seemed seismic. For 5 years, Hani yet sought a job in the field. Digital marketing. It didn't seem to matter that a 28-year-old had qualifications, abilities, ambition. Friends watched her confidence drain away. Hania thought about taking off her hijab, Islamic headscarf, to bury the fact. The fact that she was a Muslim became the last option before the 10 women at the centre in the Menning neighbourhood in Redford neighbourhood. Hani yet announced that she was finally coming to work. It was great. But for many, discrimination in the labour market, along with a lack of opportunity, creates fatigue. Ultimately undermines self-esteem, said Bonagora, executive director of the Bradford Muslim Women's Council. Hani yet has succeeded where most of her peers have failed at being. Muslim in Brexit. Britain offers few benefits but guarantees membership of most economically a disadvantaged group in society. UK in Ning, where the latest census showed that 3/4 out of 20,000 of the population were Muslims. The concern is that bold bigotry and Islamophobia unleashed after the Brexit vote seeks to marginalize Muslim women to the point that they are effectively excluded within 7 miles from the business centre past the Bradford Central Mosque and to the south along a 651 finds the market town of Bestow on the west of Regatia. Here outside his library in 1253 June 16, the MP for Labour MP Joe Cox was subjected to a deadly attack by far-right terrorists as the campaign for the EU referendum campaign came to its. Cox's murderer, Thomas Mayer, was sentenced to a prison term for the rest of his life. 53-year-old white supremacy who considers immigration anathema to British values and who hoped his crime would ignite music tour. Council's multi-councillor of Bradford women and the chairman sat on the law. Photo by Greikel. Ober forthcoming government reports on integration. The first government-backed study of the issue in 15 years comes on a progress report conceived in July 2015. The report's lead author Louise Casey appreciates that the debate about race self-identity in Britain itself has changed dramatically since its inception. Casey's team is acutely sensitive to how the right-wing media will frame its content, especially a new study by the Home Office confirming that London, Birmingham and other cities are becoming increasingly monoethnic. Emigrants are over 50%, which confirms the dramatic increase in recent decades. This will be taken by Brexit supporters who will want to close the border while the left won't be able to talk about it, said a source close to the Casey review, but the main thrust of the report remains unchanged, namely an attempt to improve opportunity and integration for ethnic minorities who are largely left outside. The problem of segregation and inequalities remain factors identified after the race riots 2001, which prompted a Home Office report which identified parallel lives between ethnic groups that are not touched at any, let alone overlap. The Mount says that since then, the situation has improved dramatically, but shifts in Islamophobic rhetoric into the mainstream has angered Muslim women. Bradford: these are scary times. There is Heightened fear and anxiety about what the future holds. The Muslim community feels that it's under the magnifying glass of rhetoric in the media with spreading immediate negative reports. It's disturbing, she said. Even in the manga, there have been Russian. We've had women with torn, said the mountain, nodding on Carlisle Road lined with charity stores and an array of green domed 17-month Casey's investigation across the UK, which included a visit to a business centre, has revealed that Muslim women being excluded from mainstream society, many have given up trying to find work, gaining economic independence, Persian careers, meeting new people. Meeting new people had become a pipe dream. For most, a three-tiered system. A three-tiered system of discrimination: to be a woman, to be from ethnic minority, and finally to be Muslim. In a memo to Casey, an early IT med trust, that Pakistani and Bangladeshi women faced discrimination at every stage of the recruitment process. Chairwoman MWC said that the cumulative rejection of potential employers linked to horror stories from friends meant that many felt unable to find a job. They don't really believe they can do anything. They start automatically screen themselves out of certain positions subconsciously, thinking they're not worthy. They know that, for starters, they have no peers, she added. If you have a resume fit for purpose, and you've been repeatedly rejected for similar jobs, it affects you. Issues of low aspirations and confidence, combined with a certain degree of racism, begin in the sector. In the education sector, various studies quantify, assess the marginalization of Muslim women. Deputies in August showed that white women are 3 times less likely to be unemployed, 6.8 times that of black women. 17.7 pro at the bottom of the pile were Pakistani and Bangladeshi women. 20.5 last year, the Office of National Statistics found almost 2/3 of Muslim women in aged 1,664 years old were not working. In contrast, 69% of British women of working age had jobs for numerous reasons, including insufficient role models, along with the cultural pressure on women to focus on their families. They were building careers. The study has shown that in some parts of the UK, particularly in Birmingham, even when women go to the local mosque, they can be music withdrawn to them, no opportunity, they end blocked, said Fia Smo Gal, director of Faith May, who has contributed to the integration review. He said that the hiring process itself can be a tortuous case riddled with bias. Women talk about illegal forms of questioning in interviews when they were asked if they're married or would consider to remove their headscarf. They continue to say, I can't find a job. I've applied hundreds of times. Others tell us, when I show up I get questions about whether I'll be wear this all the time. In August, the Parliamentary Committee on Women and Equality called on ministers to introduce a set blind names so that employers are not white. There is a subconscious bias towards foreign names that are hard to read. Secondly, recruitment groups like to recruit people who look like themselves. If you're a Muslim woman wearing a headscarf, it depends on whether the panel buys it, said Eula. Significant evidence indicates that a minority is willing to buy a hijab. On Tuesday, Bradford will present a new book on the heritage of the hijab, noting its similarities to the head coverings associated with Judaism and Christianity. More than 300 people were invited to its launch at the National. The city's media museum is designed to strengthen the RCD between the Abrahamic faiths. The Mount hopes the book's message may ease the hostility towards hijab, which has become deeply politicized, that women are often targeted on the street for wearing the headscarf. New police data by the Observer show that incidents of hate crimes against Muslims this year in Bradford are 8 times higher than in Rotherham South, where the Groman Gomez scandal is causing racial tensions. West Yorkshire Police. There have been 40 incidents reported in Bradford between January and, which is the highest number for any town in the borough out of 137 incidents recorded in West Re. 60 were violence against a person and with SE harassment, anti-cult, hate crime and violent. A further 23 incidents were recorded by the mother. Not during this period did the new national campaign to combat hate crime will be introduced in Parliament with a focus on ensuring that ethnic minority communities feel more protected. Another long-awaited development according to Gar. If the review KC will help accelerate change, the language needs to be more positive language. We need to look at the rhetoric of the government. We can't continue with this language of Muslims as the enemy within. Few are holding their breath on criticism. They say the key word in the case study review: integration, clumsy and loaded, giving the impression that if ethnic smaller don't commit to full assimilation, they will fail. Lower in this corner of Western Russia there is and Hope is concerned that the entrance of the textile industry near Bradford was employing a low level of Muslim women. The council has introduced initiatives to attract local Pakistani and Bangladeshi labor to the Garment Academy. Mark Clayton from of Bradford Council said FA women are the largest group directly affected by the inequalities, which could be exacerbated, affecting the majority of approximately 500,000 Muslim women. Britain. What is the bias that the KC report hopes to begin to address?